All right, thank you everybody who joined with us today. What you just watched today was OAAPN basically televising the APRN Advisory Committee. We realize that many of you practicing in Ohio are unaware of who represents you, who's making decisions for you, your patients, and your practice. So we want to make sure that the committee was fair. We want to make sure that they were accountable to the decisions they make, and we wanted to make sure they were transparent, because I know sometimes there are arguments that our Board of Nursing is not as transparent as we would hope them to be. So myself, I'm Jesse McLean. I'm the president of the Ohio Association of Advanced Practice Nurses. And
I'm Bethany Parcel. I'm a family nurse practitioner. I work in both the inpatient and outpatient setting, and I am the Central Region Director for OAAPN.
My name is Eric Snyder. I'm an acute care nurse practitioner. I work in a hospitalist program in Eastern Ohio at a critical access hospital, and I'm also the Southeastern Regional Director for OAAPN.
So I asked them to join us today because we do have an FNP as well as an acute care NP as part of the discussion. OAAPN and myself are pleased that the committee has decided to continue this discussion. I agree there needs to be more discussion, more open discussion, rather than some one-sided discussion on this topic. The board did vote on 5-3 to accept the consensus model. I do have some concerns because the board legal counsel had stated that we were already following the consensus model, and I'm not sure what the vote was for. I do have some concerns that down the road they may utilize that the board accepted that the committee accepted the consensus model with not knowing more information, though almost all of them agreed that they would like to obtain some more information in what the consensus model means to the Board of Nursing. They did agree to accept another FNP onto the committee to hopefully even out some of the numbers for representation purposes. I agree with Pete, who was on the committee, who felt that there should be more FNP representation. I also have concerns that they did not agree that that person that they added would be a voting member on the committee. I have not had a chance to review the statute or rule that Michelle Zamudio referenced on the committee. I also feel that the Board of Nursing should redo their momentum article. The momentum article has created a lot of anxiety amongst APRNs in Ohio, and they did make some threats in there saying that they are punishable by criminal penalties, if I could quote the article, which has made some uncertainty in all of our practices. I feel that it is necessary that they rewrite the article with some interested parties that was suggested at the end of the meeting. Eric, you work in a critical access hospital. What is the hospital credentialing process? What is that like for you?
Sure. Well, even though it's a small organization, I am part of the credentialing privileging committee for our hospital in regards to APRNs that enter our system. And I will say that I concur with many members on the board committee that also stated that as part of their hospital's credentialing and privileging committees, they feel that it is very strong and robust and that they really take the time to evaluate the applicants looking for privileges in their system. It's the same at our facility. We follow joint commission standards to give recommendations on how to go about doing that, and the credentialing and privileging committees at the facility again take the time to really look into the applicant's clinical history to see if they're a good fit for the patients in that facility. My hope is that the Board of Nursing will continue, as many of them stated, to continue to let those committees do their jobs as far as how they're attempting to safeguard the patients and the public, in which they do a very good job at doing so.
Thank you. Do you feel that it's a quite rigorous process? What is the process? How long does the process take in your hospital system?
Absolutely. I mean, from the time an application is received, it takes several weeks of investigation, getting information from the prospective employee as far as their clinical background, educational background, any record of any continuing education or education specific to certain privileges that they may be requesting. That then goes to the medical executive committee as well for review. So it's at multiple levels is being reviewed case by case by multiple different people, from frontline to direct clinical directors of the service lines, through the medical staff, and then ultimately the medical executive committee, which gives its final recommendation after being reviewed by the credentialing and privileging committee.
So even in a critical access area where warm bodies are a necessity, you still go through the rigorous process that, say, the 3 Cs, the Cincinnati, Columbus, and Cleveland go through.
Absolutely.
As well. So the statement at the committee where some hospitals are following and some hospitals are not, that's not really an accurate statement, not representative of Ohio hospitals.
Correct. You know,
Okay.
I can't speak to larger urban centers, but even in small critical access hospitals, you know, knowing that we are following the direction of joint commissions, you know, that's pretty much set as far as how we go about doing it. As far as researching the National Patient Safety Bank, Data Bank, and things of that nature. So even in smaller institutions, the process is very time consuming, and it's ultimately done and is ultimately with the patient care and focus towards how they credential the patient or applicants.
Thank you very much. Very insightful. Bethany, do you feel like the committee made the right decision to gather more information, to basically punt it down the road?
So any decision of this grave matter needs to obviously have more information. We don't know how the Board of Nursing is going to carry out any disciplinary action. I think that is a factor that plays into this decision, especially after the Momentum article. Criminal penalties is a big deal. So being able to gather more information from both sides, and not to mention that we have new committee members on the APR advisory committee, and then the next meeting rolls around in October, we're going to have another new member. That's not enough time to make a decision as a new member. First and foremost, we have not involved any interested parties. OAAPN has given them numerous amounts of information why we think that further regulation is not a good idea, and OHA has spoke that regulation will only put patients in harm's way. And to make a decision based on a limited number of information is poor. We would never do that to our patients. And to be able to say that you can accept the consensus model, are they going to accept all parts of it? The consensus model is for full practice authority. I mean, did the Board of Nursing say they support full practice authority today? Unfortunately, no, but so we have a lot more information before we can make a well-educated decision that it's going to affect thousands of APRNs and thousands of patients.
Now, one of the ideas was, because of the topic of this matter and this magnitude, I should say, that the committee travel around the state to gather more interested parties, because a lot of people can't take a Monday off from their practice, their patients, to come to Columbus, to be heard, to give a testimony. Some people would prefer if the committee could travel to Cleveland and hear what major hospitals in UH and Cleveland Clinic could do, or to Toledo and what Toledo Medical Center, or Cincinnati and what their medical travel to gain and to learn more about this topic before they reconvene on October 1st to have that discussion. I heard a lot of discussion about bringing speakers in, you know, finding out what other states are doing, which I think is a great idea. It's much more than what we've had lately. But what about traveling our own very great state of Ohio just to learn how this is going to affect Ohioans? What do you think about that possibility?
I think we learned today that a lot of times the Board of Nursing doesn't know what the boots on the ground are doing. So get out there, get out in the trenches and figure out what these hospitals are doing. These hospitals are really well-ran machines. So why don't we go out there and see what they're doing? Because there hasn't been a problem. There's not a patient safety issue with what we're doing now.
So thank you guys for joining us. Go ahead.
I will say to Taylor on that, you know, as far as seeing different practices in the state of Ohio, whether it's urban or rural, even though this has been somewhat of a philosophical debate, there actually has been effect in Ohio, at least in my area, in rural Ohio. I'll give an example. At the facility I work, you know, we're working on bringing more qualified APRNs into the inpatient side. And with Momentum article a few years ago, all the discussion since, the applicant pool has somewhat dwindled, at least in my area in rural Ohio, on just from a fear of the unknown currently on how things are going to work, how it's going to affect their potential job prospects. And the patients in the rural area that I work are suffering from that. We haven't been able to move forward with some of the staffing initiatives that we want that are cost effective and could ultimately help the patients in our rural area. And even though nothing has been done specifically so far, just the unknown has put the brakes on a lot of APRNs that are really qualified and could be deemed qualified through the credentialing and privileging process at our facility. They just aren't applying.
So, and I think one of the people on the Facebook wanted us to restate our names and titles. So I'm Jesse McLean. I'm the current president for the Ohio Association of Advanced Practice Nurses. And with me is...
I'm Bethany Parcel. I'm a FNP. I work in inpatient and outpatient urology setting. And I'm the Central Region Director for OAAPN.
I'm Eric Snyder. I'm board certified in acute care, and I work as a hospitalist MP at a critical access facility.
So, thank you. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. And Southeastern Director for APRN.
And I wanted to say thank you for everybody who tuned in. I hope you enjoyed the program. I know some of it is quite timely and hard to get through. Some of it had been quite interesting and energetic. If this is successful, if you guys enjoyed it, please leave your comments below. We are considering televising the October 1st for those members and non-members who cannot be here to join in the discussion. So thank you again. We appreciate everything you do for Ohio APRNs and your patients in Ohio. Have a great day and great week.